The Todd Shapiro Show.
Time to hit the button!
On Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.
Kevin Hobbs, CEO of Vanbex, big supporter of the program, obviously our title sponsor, and just a good friend. This guy's a kick-ass poker player. Hey, Kev.
How's it going, Todd? What's going on, buddy?
So wait, I got to ask, how did you jump right into it, man? So things are going okay. How did you? I don't think I've ever asked you this on air, and if I have, forgive me. But no, we haven't really talked much about poker. How did you get into how did you get into playing a lot of Hold'em and doing tournaments and winning tournaments? This guy wins tournaments.
Sure. She's actually started playing cards a long time ago when I was living in Nova Scotia, just with my buddies, and then started playing when they actually had it in the casinos, and then just once in a while I like to go to some of the tournaments. So like in the Bahamas or Montreal was the last one that I was in. It's just a lot of fun. You meet a lot of really good people, really smart people, and yeah, sometimes you win some money.
That is one of the coolest things about playing. Whenever I play cards in Vegas, you just end up meeting these people from all over the world, and it's fascinating, and they're just characters.
That's that Tim Steves. I don't know if I introduced you, by the way. Tim, Kev. It is neat to now, but like for you to go at a caliber where you're winning tournaments in some of the world's best, how did you, more than just playing with buddies, Kev, like how did you learn the game, and did you use some of your expertise in business? I know you used to trade, all this kind of stuff. Like how did you study the game to get that good?
I mean, I think it's a lot of different things. You have to know your own style and what works for you to kind of make that work as your advantage at the table. I read a bunch of poker books back in the day. I used to watch a lot of people play online to kind of see what they did, and then as long as you can own your own style, you can generally be successful. It's all about making other people believe what you want them to believe at the table, whether you got the cards or not.
Yeah, tell a story that's believable, and 100%. There's so many ways to get good now. So many training sites, and you know.
Last night, it's funny you mentioned poker. Last night, every month at the Vancouver club where I'm a member, we have a monthly poker tournament, and you get points, right? And this poker tournament is not really about money; it's more about pride. And at the end of the year, you have a big tournament where the champion basically wins this big prize. And last night was our monthly game. But generally there, after a few drinks, it's definitely less about studying everybody and
yeah, just jamming it. I look down at ace queen suited. What's a boy to do?
I would at that point just pretend I'm drinking, but focus more. Water, but it's like vodka. Yeah. Everyone thinks there's vodka, but it's actually water. And then rook him in that way. Rook him in that way. Did you end up winning? Where'd you end up placing?
So it was actually a big turnout last night, over almost 60 people. I got down to, there's about 11 people left before we were going to amalgamate the tables. And then actually I was pretty much almost chip leader, and then lost 3 hands in a row, aces, kings, and ace-10 suited, and out I was.
Wow.
Yeah, it happens.
That's tournament poker, man.
Yeah, I can never predict that. How much of the game is that sort of, or I guess it's a style, but would you say more than not like to have that intimidation factor?
I mean, intimidation and being aggressive is a proven strategy. It does win, right? Most of the time, but your aggression needs to be managed. If people know that you're just a blaster and you're just always betting at every single pot, they're going to trap you more times than not, and then you're basically hoping to get lucky.
Yeah, you got to have timing, right?
Exactly.
Are there there must be, because there's always correlations of stuff. Are there we're talking earlier to another CEO of another different company, but are the correlations to that same sort of strategy in business as well?
Well, for sure. I mean, definitely in business, when you're doing any type of negotiations, you're gonna kind of use some of the same skill sets. A book that I read that I thought was kind of tackle both ends, either business and poker, is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. So that's a really good book to read, and it talks about strategy. So that one really helps in both business and poker.
It's interesting, and say what, people, you bring up Trump also. I was like, oh, you're bringing up Trump. They freak out, and people are freaking out with the tariffs that are going to eventually go into play with China. But now there's negotiations on the table, And it's like I look at Donald Trump, and listen, I appreciate this on a business level from the guy, is he uses like these messages on Twitter as leverage and sort of threats. It's like poker. I look at him, and he really talks about, like, if we could come off the ledge and we can help with tariffs if we get some sort of great deal done with China here. And he sort of, it's almost like he's showing his cards a little bit, but, meaning that, hey, I got something here. But if you don't play along, then the final result, I'm out. And in business, I don't necessarily mind that strategy. It's at least showing you wanna talk. But at the end of the day, if you don't negotiate, then there's going to be some harsh action. And whether it's harsh to America or harsh to China or harsh to both of us as our nations, we're putting it out there. I'll get to Trump. Do you see him running, like, Kev? He runs America like a business, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, come on. He's the author of The Art of the Deal. That's what he does. So, I mean, for him, he thinks that he's doing what made him successful in business, and he's trying to run the country the same way. Will it work? Who knows? I mean, I guess we'll see that. But he's just got so much pushback from people in his own country that it's really hard for him to make any headway anywhere, it seems.
Well, just not presidential, right?
Yeah, well, but because businessmen aren't always on that level, like there's a lot of lack of empathy at times.
Yeah, if you're sitting poolside with a cigar and you're banging out a deal, that's one thing. But you're the president. That's sort of different.
Exactly.
Or it used to be anyway.
Except for the fact that and again, I understand this, is that he ran on not being presidential.
Right.
So why would he ever change that?
Yeah.
And that, so it's one of those kind of situations. Kevs, what's going on with Vanbex and everything?
Oh, same old, same old. Getting ready for some pretty big product launches here soon, but just really taking stock of the industry and seeing where that is as a whole. Like right now, it seems like there's some confidence coming back into the market. And I don't necessarily mean with the price of crypto, but with people basically saying, okay, let's revisit this technology again. So we're getting a lot more companies kind of reaching out to us saying, hey, I'm really looking at this to solve some of my process or infrastructure problems online, or looking to be a company that wants to, be the leaders in technology for the next, 10, 20 years. And really coming to the table to inquire, I think, about the right things. Like, what can this technology do? It's more than just, internet magic money. So we're seeing a lot of that, which I like a lot.
I remember a long time ago you talked to me about sort of what the blockchain would be great for would be in sort of construction projects, and people don't think about that, where you have an order or a trade, and until that trade delivers X, then there's money that goes through the block, that's proven that it's now documented and done, and then money just gets automatically put into the account because the work is done and it's all been reconciled. And it's funny because we're blessed enough to be building a cottage right now, and sort of I am experiencing with one trade in particular, like just a lot of issues. You always hear, there's going to be issues, and I think to myself, man, if only I could track this way better. And it's and instead of now, I'm not even gonna lie, I'm holding back a little bit of money until it's proven that this part of the work is done that they have not completed, and now the emotion and the fights and the threats and all that get involved in it, and I always think of, man, why can't we just get something like this actually done, Kevin?
Oh, I agree. I mean, smart contracts are a perfect example of how this can be handled and just make it really black and white. All the money can go into escrow based on the terms and conditions of the agreement that you and the other party set. And each of you can have a key, and you can give another key to like an arbiter if you guys don't agree. But essentially, as long as the terms and conditions are met, the money gets released to the other party. And if they're not met, then it stays in there until they are met. Right? So when you talk about a construction company, so we were dealing with one of the largest ones actually in North America, and they want to be leaders in technology, and they were looking at blockchain technology to get into a very small part of their business, and they call it touch points. And so they lose about $6 million a year just because people aren't knowing that an invoice needs to get paid, and then the trades that they're hiring basically stop work because they're not getting paid. And each invoice, they say, gets touched about 12 times before it actually gets to the person that needs to deal with it. You can automate that complete system with full transparency using a blockchain and smart contract application, and that could be public or private for your own private business. And it would literally save these companies $6 million plus a year. And every single construction company goes through the same problems.
Little things. I mean, but they're big things. And again, if it affects the bottom line, you want to make sure that you create programs that will help save money. So I mean, all these, I love this stuff. I was thinking, because Tim Steves is your comedian, I'm like, the only thing is there's just a smart contract. You don't want to base it for a comedian doing a set to get the laughs. That's when the money.
It's gonna be half the door. We'll call it a day.
That's why it's a lot easier that way.
I mean. Oh, go ahead. No. Say, you talk about, when you're talking about the U.S., did we talk about this before? But voting is a perfect example.
Last week we talked about it. Yep.
Oh, that's right. Mind you, I do think that the way that our society is going, especially in the States, it's going to be the most popular celebrity that gets elected year over year.
Yeah.
Yeah, Twitter likes will determine, Instagram likes will determine the next president.
Right.
Yeah. Who has the most followers?
Literally. No, they'll just put for presidential candidate in like 2034. It'll be, X celebrity versus X celebrity, and you just put up their pictures on their Instagram accounts, and whoever gets the most likes will just win.
It reminds me of this movie, Idiocracy. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but it's absolutely hilarious.
Right. Of course, Luke Wilson, years ago. Hey, Kev, one last fun talk, and we brought it up earlier in the show. You're such a diehard Raptors fans. What do you think of the rumors of Anthony Davis coming here?
Oh, yeah, I really like Anthony Davis a lot. I liked him at Kentucky. Sorry, not Kentucky. In college, I forget the school. But he would be a great asset for us to have. Like, he's such a big presence. I hate to lose Siakam. That guy just brings so much. So I don't know who we trade for him. But, man, I mean, I definitely see a Raptors-Houston final this year. And if we get AD, who knows?
We'd have to ship a lot to get AD, I think, eh?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, they're saying,
probably two guys in a draft pick, something like that.
It'd be a steep price.
It would have to be somebody really good, plus somebody else, plus a big draft pick, something like that.
On the business side of sports, though, I think to get the Raptors a championship, the amount of money that they win with, they make with that, I don't think they worry about the future. Like, they need the championship in this country. They need it for NBA. So I don't know. I would do it. See, I think we got one shot. Hey, roll the dice. We're talking about gambling, Kev. Come on.
Masai's done a great job, so I trust him to do the best he can.
No, I mean, I'd definitely like to see him in Toronto for sure.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Well, listen, man.
When are we doing another contest for some seats?
Oh, okay. I'll tell you. Why don't you get your EA there to let me know when you have seats to give away, and let's do it for next week, leading up to it, and let's announce the winner when you're back on the program next week.
I think we should do that. Tell Bilal to stop slacking.
Listen, I got the email. I forwarded it to Todd, and then I don't know. Nothing happened.
Oh, did we get an email for a ticket giveaway?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't mean to talk to you about it though.
Okay, I don't read emails. That's my problem. Everyone's giving me book suggestions. I don't read my own emails. Well, Kev, it's exciting to know that the blockchain community is building up that confidence again to figure out what this technology is and how we can make it practical and put it into place. And there's no question that with all the success you've already had at Vanbex, that any company should reach out to you if they're considering the same thing. Vanbex.com. And Kevin Hobbs over there, we always appreciate your time and your support.
Appreciate it. Love being on, guys. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, man. Talk to you soon.
This is the Todd Shapiro Show on Canada Talks, SiriusXM 167.